Welcome to this very special edition of the KJ Masterclass Live, the show which ensures that you profit from your time spent here with experts, either through their industry insights, information, or simply learning from them. And today we have with us Bruce Ashford. He's a certified StoryBrand advisor, founder of Ashford Agency, helps nonprofits and founder-led businesses bring clarity to their message, strategy, and systems so they can scale their impact. And so we'll explore with him why most organizations can't explain what they do in one clear sentence, what every organization should include on its homepage, and how Bruce's journey through sobriety reshaped his approach to leadership. Welcome to the show, Bruce.
Ajay, thank you so much for having me on the show. You've got a tremendous podcast, and I'm very happy to be part of it.
You're welcome. Welcome to the show, Bruce. Welcome to India in this online form. And I'm sure not just in India, but a lot of people across the globe, a lot of organizations, a lot of nonprofits across the globe will benefit from what we are going to talk right now. We'll talk about messaging clarity. That is where the problem is. So we'll talk about this. We'll talk about marketing and much more. But before that, let's talk a bit about your journey, your background, so that the audience knows who they are listening to.
Yeah, so, I had a 19-year career in the nonprofit space in higher education, was a professor for 19 years and an administrator. And interestingly, I was in New Delhi and in Jaipur, and also interacted with the Indian community in Malaysia quite a bit during those years. And 5 years ago, I founded the Ashford Agency. Large part of what I did when I was a professor and in administration had to do with communications and messaging. And so at the Ashford Agency, we help the CEOs of nonprofits, founder-led businesses gain message clarity and structural clarity so that they can grow.
Absolutely. Absolutely, Bruce. So, especially nonprofits, they are mission-driven. They know what they are doing. They know what they want. They know why they exist. Still for them, there is message problem. Why is it so? And let us understand from the wider level also, even for profit-driven organizations also. Means there are so many smart people. They know about the product, they know about their services, they know about their mission, they know about top line, they know about bottom line, they know about every line, but not about the messaging line. Help us understand why this confusion within those two set of operations.
Yeah, so there's a couple of reasons that I'll foreground why businesses and nonprofits have a high value business or nonprofit, and yet their visibility doesn't match their value, and the message is just not getting traction. So there's a couple of reasons I'll mention. One is that they're outsourcing to marketing agencies, and many marketing agencies don't have a single person who is an expert in messaging. They've got experts in graphic design, web building, user experience, back-end stuff, social media, but nobody who's an expert in how to use words effectively, in other words, how to talk about your business or nonprofit. So that's one thing, outsourcing to marketing or hiring marketing people who have never given really serious concentrated thought to how to win people over with words. And then another thing that I would foreground is that a lot of businesses and nonprofits, their basic marketing message or marketing story focuses too much on them, on their business or their nonprofit. And what I encourage them to do is to build a message in which the customer is the hero, or for a nonprofit, maybe in which the donor is the hero. And so the person who's doing the buying or doing the giving, that the marketing message needs to resonate with them at a deep level. So those are the two biggest problems that I help solve.
Absolutely. But why do they need you? I know you are needed in either ways, but why is it that they know about these issues from long before? Somewhere or the other, they must have recognized it, either by spending a lot of money into marketing and it not working for them, Why is it that that message always gets lost in translation or whatever it is, but they don't seem to get it? And this keeps on happening with organizations. They continue to spend money where the messaging clarity is still not there. Why is it so? Is it a leadership problem? Is it somebody else's problem? Or is it, the marketing team that they are outsourcing? They are very close to them, so they are giving them extra work.
Yeah, good question. The blame could fall on any number of people, leadership of the business or nonprofit, or the marketing firm they're outsourcing to, or their own team. But the real thing is that most people are not aware of the problem, that they're not making the customer the hero of their message, or they're not making the donor the hero of their message. And, there's a very clear pattern for how to do that. And this messaging pattern has existed for thousands of years. It's not something new. And it's the same messaging pattern actually that exists in fiction or in movies. And so I'll walk through that pattern really quickly. Maybe that would be helpful. So
Yes,
if you'll imagine with me for a moment, a Bollywood or Hollywood movie, and we'll just use that as an example. And I'm going to show how a fiction movie message actually helps people understand how to market their business. Okay, so in every movie, you've got 7 things that happen in every storyline. The first is you have a hero, a main character, all right? And that main character wants something, or else if you don't have a hero who wants something, you don't have a story. And then the hero always faces some sort of a problem at the beginning of the movie. He doesn't know how to get the girl that he wants to get, or he doesn't know how to win the war fight the enemy that he needs to fight. And the problem causes him some sort of internal frustration or sadness or despair. And then pretty soon in the story, the hero always meets a guide of some sort. And if you'll pay attention closely in the movies, the hero always has somebody advising him. All right. And so the guide shows empathy to the hero. I understand how you feel, and shows credibility or authority. It says, I can help you solve this problem because I've solved it before. Something like that. And then the guide gives a very simple plan to the hero. It's always simple. If you'll do this, you'll win. Or if you'll do this, you've got a shot. And then calls the hero to action. There's always a moment where he says, you can do this and you need to do this. And then the hero responds either well or badly in a movie. If the hero responds badly, you've got a tragedy. If the hero responds well, you've got a comedy or a drama. And if the hero responds badly, then he never takes the guide's advice and is never able to solve the problem, and therefore has negative consequences. But if he does take the guide's advice, he solves the problem and he has positive effects. So why does that matter for a marketing message? Because let's just take a nonprofit, for example, for a moment. And let's say that, so I've got a nonprofit. I don't want my marketing message, the main part of my marketing message, to just be telling everybody how awesome my nonprofit is and how awesome the services are that we have to offer. Same thing for a business. What I want to do is I want my marketing message to talk about the person I'm trying to win over. So let's say that this is a nonprofit that offers spiritual suggestions and spiritual solutions for people who are struggling spiritually. The marketing message, you want to identify who the hero is, and the hero is the person who's out there struggling spiritually. And you want to, in your messaging, for them to recognize immediately that that's who this organization is helping. And you want to, now that person has a problem of some sort that they're facing, and it makes them feel a certain way internally. They don't know how to connect with the divine or the transcendent, to make a connection with God. And internally, this leaves them sad or frustrated or cynical, or then that's the feeling that they've got. And in your marketing message, you want to tap into that feeling and mention that feeling in natural human language. And then you want to suggest that your nonprofit is the guide and say, we know how that feels. We've been there before, and we're able to help you. We've helped thousands of people before you. And then you want to give the nonprofit potential program participant, you want to give them a simple plan. Contact us today. We'll get you enrolled in a special course or whatever it is that they offer. And you will have your feet on the path toward gaining a connection with God, something like that. And then you call them to action. And so you ask them now, click now. You offer a button to click now. And if you do this, and then your marketing message, you want to show them the negative consequences they'll avoid and the positive consequences they'll achieve. Same thing goes with the business. So if we take a business, a healthcare adjacent business, I've helped one of those recently that provides luxury level retirement homes for people in their mid 60s and beyond. And so the hero there is somebody 65 to 85 years old. And in the marketing message, you don't want to spend all of your time talking about your healthcare facility. You want to talk about that person, what they want. What do they want? They want a place where they can feel safe, where their needs are taken care of, where they're not isolated and they can have community, spend time with other people. What is the problem that they face? Well, you foreground that. The problem might be they don't know how to pick between all of these different options, or that they're worried that they won't be able to pay for it. So you mention those problems in natural human language, and you mention how it makes them feel. It makes them feel confused, maybe a little bit afraid. They don't know what's next in this stage of life. And then you offer them a simple plan. Schedule a consultation today. Step number 1. And then step number 2 is we will carve out the right plan for you. And step number 3, enjoy the rest of your life. It's a simple plan. So then you call them to action. And then in your messaging, you want to show them what they avoid. You avoid being isolated alone in your older years. You avoid being living in a subpar retirement facility. You list the negatives that they avoid. You actually mention those. And then you mention the positive things that they'll achieve, a community of people in a similar stage of life. And so these are the components of a complete and compelling message. The vast majority of businesses and nonprofits do not have a complete or clear message. And nobody's told them this. There's no marketing agent, not many marketing agencies that do this. A lot of marketing agencies are using boilerplate templates, recent hacks and trends in messaging, and they're not using a holistic approach. And this is what I coach and help my clients to do.
Absolutely. Let me understand it this way. How is it that you know it and the leaders of those organizations do not know it the way they should know it? Especially when you talk about that, they know this part, that it's almost like, building the plane while flying it, almost like that. So somebody who is flying a plane like this, will they not recognize this thing and be smart at this? I just want to understand that landscape better. A lot of great leaders are there. They're running their startups, they're running their businesses, non-profits, for-profits, whatever it is. And they know what they are doing, except for the messaging that either gets diluted or gets lost in translation, or the message is itself corrupted. Help us understand from that point of view, how do organizations, how do leaders evaluate, self-evaluate themselves? Not everyone will get a chance to, get directly coached by you, perhaps. Many will, maybe but a lot will watch this episode, listen to this episode. Tell us from that perspective, Bruce.
Yeah, you mentioned a really good analogy that I think most business leaders, especially founder-led businesses that are in either startup or early stages of growth, and nonprofit leaders feel like they're building the plane while they're flying it. The reason they feel that way is because they are. You're always sort of building the plane while you're flying it, because businesses and nonprofits evolve over time. You're always having to adapt. I usually outline there's 6 core components of any business or nonprofit: leadership, marketing, sales, products, management and overhead, and then cash flow. That's a lot. And so how do you, in the midst of building the plane while flying it, what can you do to get the message right? So my recommendation usually is, and I facilitate these, I have limited ability to do so, but to carve out a day or two to really home in on the core message of your business. The CEO in the C-suite, the leadership of a business, they need to own their own message before they outsource it to a marketing firm, before they just throw it off to a marketing director. They need to be involved in owning the message. clarifying a full-orbed, clear, and compelling marketing message. So the way I do it is I facilitate these and do it through a one-day intensive with the CEO and whoever else he wants to be in the room. That's a very helpful thing to do. I'd also recommend for those who are out there listening, there's a book that you can buy that's incredibly helpful. It's called StoryBrand 2.0. And I think that's a very good introductory treatment of messaging. If you don't want to hire somebody right now, or if you're limited on cash, or if you're just intellectually curious, I recommend StoryBrand 2.0 is the single best starting place for understanding how to build a clear and compelling message for your business or your nonprofit.
Absolutely. Coming to your own life, Bruce, you talk about, your own focus, your own messaging to yourself, especially, rebuilding after addiction forced you to simplify, focus, and adopt discipline that later became the foundation of your work with CEOs. How did you get your message clear for yourself? Was it always like that, or only after you went through that trial by fire and came out stronger? Help us understand from that. Many people are very talented, but you don't know what comes along the way as speed breakers, and then you have to recalibrate your stance, your speed, your future journey.
Yeah, so you mentioned an aspect of my personal story that's painful period of life, but for those who are out there listening, toward the end of my academic career, I began to abuse alcohol, and over the course of a couple of years, a little bit less than 2 years, abused it pretty badly and I lost a lot, lost everything, and I lost that career, as a matter of fact. And in the aftermath of that, when I quit alcohol, I got involved in a 12-step program. And one of the things that they suggest that you do, which I did, is to undertake a rigorous personal inventory, to carve out the time to take a hard look at myself spiritually, mentally, and emotionally, and ask, what are the ways that I'm self-sabotaging? What are the things in me that need fixing? And then to carve out a program and a way of addressing those problems. And I think as I advise clients, there's an analogy there for businesses and nonprofits that if things are not working, no matter how busy you are, no matter how overwhelming life might be, unless you take the time to do a rigorous and honest inventory, so to speak, evaluation of your business or your nonprofit, you won't be able to identify the things that are holding you back, and you won't be able to fix them. And so that's why a large part of what I do is either helping a business or nonprofit undergo a rigorous evaluation of their messaging and get messaging clarity, or a rigorous evaluation of the enterprise as a whole so they can get structural clarity. And that's a big ask for a CEO, because a CEO usually is wearing multiple hats, is overwhelmed as it is, and the thought of stepping back to do a thorough evaluation is pretty intimidating. But I haven't yet had a client tell me that it wasn't worth the time taken, to take a day or 2 days or 3 full days, maybe with a facilitator, someone like me or somebody else that to help you really evaluate what the problems are so that you can get some solutions and move forward. That's helpful. Usually the deeper problems can't be solved through a 1-hour C-suite meeting. The leadership team meets 1 hour a week on Mondays or whatever. Big problems don't get solved usually in the space of an hour. Big problems get solved when those minds are in the room with a good facilitator or with a good framework, for a day or 2 or 3 days to initially sort of break the back of the problem and to figure out where you need to go. And then in the months or, quarters that follow, following through and executing and implementing. So the answer would be just like on the personal level, it helps to undertake a rigorous evaluation of yourself. Same thing on the nonprofit or business level, undertake a rigorous examination of the business or the nonprofit.
Absolutely. And that was the whole point of asking that question, to get understanding through how you solved your problem so that organizations can take their own, self audit and understand. But when
Yeah.
do you come into the picture for organizations? Is it, that they, many a times they don't know the problem. So how do
Yeah.
they get to know that, okay, Bruce, Ashford
Yeah.
is there and we must get it help? Who is your ideal client? So even if they don't know
Yeah.
and they listen to this particular show, then they can come to know, okay, I think I've got a problem and I can get it solved and talk to Bruce.
Yeah. So, most of my business comes through referrals. I've got a lot of happy former clients who refer me to other people. Some of them come in digitally. My website is theashfordagency.com. Make sure to put the in there, theashfordagency.com. You can also find me on LinkedIn. But most CEOs, and there's research out there to back this up, most CEOs are either somewhat or extremely disappointed in the results they get from outsourced marketing campaigns or from internal marketing efforts. So the vast majority of them have the pain point already. And the perpetual disappointment is they continue to throw more cash into marketing campaigns, but throwing more cash isn't going to help if the message is broken. It doesn't matter how much cash you throw at it unless you build a compelling message. And so fortunately, some of these CEOs realize that the message is at the heart of the marketing problem, and that's when they come to me. So that's the heart of it. It's interesting. Whenever a business or a nonprofit is not doing well, usually the CEO's first impulse is to say it's a problem with marketing. And my response to that would be, often it is a problem with the marketing message and that needs to be fixed. But then I would say also, sometimes marketing isn't the main problem. Sometimes the problem was that the product needs to be readjusted to fit the market or some other problem. But marketing is a great place to start. If your business or nonprofit has high value and you know it, and yet your growth and revenue don't match the value that you have.
Absolutely, Bruce. You also talk about the importance of homepage. Now, what has homepage got to do with what we are talking?
Yeah, so the website as a whole is your prime digital real estate. And so if you have brick and mortar real estate, you want it to have a dignity that befits your business. You want the lobby to be nice and comfortable, and you want the receptionist to be friendly to the customers that walk in. Same thing with a website. And so the homepage of the website is the equivalent to the entrance and lobby of your office, right? So you want it to be as nice as possible. You want to make a very good first impression. And the way you make a very good first impression on a homepage is that you have on the homepage that the homepage is a journey. As they scroll from the top to the bottom, it is a unified journey in which the customer is the hero, or in which the donor is the hero if it's a nonprofit, or a nonprofit it might be in which the program participant is a hero. You want that homepage to cover all of those 7 points that I just talked about, so that by the time somebody has scrolled through your homepage, they have been led on a journey in which they're the star of the journey. They're the main one being talked to. They understand exactly who you are. They know that you understand their problem and that you're credible to help them solve it, that you have a solution for it. They know what the solution is. They've got a simple plan for how to get that solution, a 1, 2, 3 plan on the web page. They see some credentials that show that you're credible, testimonials, that sort of thing. And then the last thing that and that you mentioned, the negatives that will happen in their life if they don't go ahead and buy into the solution, and the positives that will happen if they do buy into it. The last thing that I would say is some customers, no matter how good your messaging is, by the time they scroll it into the homepage, they're not ready to buy or they're not ready to give. And you want to have something there for them to help them as they're thinking about it. And that's what we call a lead generator or a lead magnet. And that's a free resource it's got to be worth at least $15 to $20 in the mind of the customer. might be an ebook or a webinar or a cheat sheet of some sort, and you offer that to them for free. The only thing they have to do in return is give their email address. And so that's a way of gathering their email address, because marketing is a journey from curiosity through to enlightenment and finally to commitment. Some people make that journey quickly. You pique their curiosity, you tell them a little bit about your business, and they're ready to commit. They go ahead and buy. Other people need a longer journey. And so when you offer a free resource to get their email in response, then you can use your email that you send them. You've already piqued their curiosity, and use the emails that you send them to enlighten them about your business or your nonprofit, to cultivate that relationship, to keep them on the hook until they're finally ready to commit. And so that's the purpose of a homepage. Unfortunately, most homepages skip at least 3 or 4 of the 7 things that I mentioned, and a lot of them are really scattered. They're sending you all over the place, and so the homepage ends up being a big fail. And it would be the same as if you had a brick and mortar store and the lobby had no chairs in it and smelled bad and the receptionist wasn't very friendly. And you don't want your website to be that way. And I just want to remind you again, it's important for your website to be beautiful and to pop, to have great graphic design. But that alone will not cause anybody to buy. First impressions are visual. Commitments to act are message-based. People buy things because we say words that make them trust us and think that the thing that they buy from us will solve their problem. So marketing at its core, at the deepest level, has to do with a clear and compelling message.
Absolutely, absolutely clear and compelling message. There is so much to learn about all this from you, Bruce, and I'm sure a lot of organizations would want, a lot of leaders would want to understand more about this, perhaps be your client. What's the best way for them to do so?
Yeah, so I'll give you two ways to do it. You can find me on LinkedIn. Bruce Riley Ashford is the longer version, but just look up Bruce Ashford. Or you can find me at my website, theashfordagency.com. And I would encourage you to subscribe to my weekly insights. Every week I send an email. If I send 52 emails a year, only 4 of them are sales pitches. You'll get 48 emails that add value to your life as a CEO of a nonprofit or small business. So come and subscribe at theashfordagency.com.
Wonderful. With this, it's a wrap on this very special edition of the KAJ Masterclass Live. Thank you so much indeed for joining us.
Thank you, Ajay. It's been a joy.